Similarly, project management is the key to navigating this dynamic world effectively. Welcome to our project management webinar for teachers, a transformative learning experience designed to equip educators with the essential skills needed to lead, organize, and succeed in the classroom and beyond. Without further ado, I would like to give the stage to Dinu Raheja, Executive Director, T-Gulf JA India. Over to you, Dinu ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dipanshu. And a very warm welcome to all the teachers from across India. Very warm welcome all the teachers from across India who have joined us for today's amazing session, which is going to be led by a project management expert, practitioner, and Mr. Ramam is also the chair of the board of directors for project management. Organize that. Or if we are just going out with family for a picnic or a holiday, that is also a project that needs to be managed. But how can we do this efficiently? Is there a science behind it? Are there some tools and steps that will help us become efficient to manage projects that we get in school and in our homes as students and as teachers? That is what today's workshop is going to tell us. And before I hand over to our expert, I also just want to show you some pictures of workshops that we have done with students all over India on project management, giving them the skill, giving them the ability and those steps that can make the entire process efficient, logical, less time consuming, and easy as these students take on projects both in school, in their lives, and tomorrow when they get into university and jobs, when some of them may become project managers themselves. So what better way than to skill the future of our country is to first skill our teachers, who can then take this knowledge and pass it on to the students. I hope there are some students who have joined us in the live streaming of this event, who can then learn firsthand also through this workshop on project management. So with that, Dipanshu, back to you. Thank you so much, teachers, for being here. And back to you, Dipanshu, to introduce and invite our expert for today. Thank you.
Thank you, Dinu ma'am. I would like to take this opportunity to introduce Mr. Ramam Atmakuri to all of you. Our expert, Mr. Ramam Atmakuri, is the Executive Vice Chair Emeritus at LV Prasad Eye Institute, India, and Chair, Board of Directors, Project Management Institute, Educational Foundation. He has had 40 years of experience in manufacturing, IT, and non-profit organizations. As head of various global delivery centers for multinationals like Cognizant, Invensys, and BAN, he led multidisciplinary teams across continents, successfully managed mergers and acquisitions, and delivered several multi-million-dollar transformation programs that resulted in business growth. He has also been serving in non-profit organizations for the last 9 years. He has been a PMI volunteer for 22 years as founder and president of PMI Pearl City Chapter India, region mentor for South Asia Chapter Insight Team, Data and Analytics Insight Team. He is also the recipient of the prestigious PMI Eric Jennett Project Management Award of Excellence. With this, I would like to invite Ramam sir. Over to you, sir.
Hey, thank you very much, both of you, for the more than required introduction. So I appreciate it very much. So let me share my screen first. Are you able to see?
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you very much for that introduction. So don't get intimidated by that long story of my experience and all. I believe that it's not just the number of years of experience and all that, but I think what have we done at the end of the day or end of all that years and all that, I think that's what would matters. I really believe all the teachers that are there on this call, I think they do a more noble job than possibly what I did in my last 40 years and all, because you transform lives of so many people, so many children over several years and all that. So just like I work in this eye institute in between a lot of doctors for the last 9 years and all that, I think doctors save lives, and then all the teachers actually, they transform lives, they build the leaders for tomorrow and all that. So it's a very noble profession. So I'm very humbled that I have an opportunity to teach to teachers. So that's a very rare opportunity, I would think. So thank you, Dinuji, for giving me this opportunity. First, a little story about, like, I volunteer for this Project Management Institute. Is more than 50-year-old organization, not-for-profit organization, and it has more than 200 chapters spread all over the world, primarily run by volunteers all over the world. Their own staff would be just about 500, but the volunteers who run the different chapters would be in the range of 10,000 people and all that. So I'm just one of those volunteers. In 2005, so I live in Hyderabad. In 2005, we organized a chapter conference, and we invited Dr. Abdul Kalam was the president of India at that time. And we were thinking, whom do we invite as a guest speaker for our conference? And my other colleagues on the board said, why not we invite Dr. Abdul Kalam? And none of us knew Dr. Abdul Kalam. So someone said, okay, why not we write a letter to President's office? So we wrote a letter. I was conference chair at that time. So why should I rule it out? So we wrote a letter to the President's office. In a week's time or so, we got a response saying the President is interested to attend this, but then we need more details. So we sent them more details. One of the things we did in that chapter that year was we went to many engineering colleges and schools and then taught project management. At that time, close to 1,000 people over 3 states. So Dr. Kalam liked it very much, and he agreed to be our chief guest. Unfortunately, a week before the event, he fell down and then injured his leg. So long story short, his office wanted me and a couple of my other colleagues to come to Rashtrapati Bhavan and then meet him to brief him about it. So he agreed to do a video call. So we had an opportunity to meet him. But why I told you all this story is not that about, of course, about great thing about meeting president in Rashtrapati Bhavan, but a very nice thing he said. This year I would come, you're organizing it in Hyderabad. You taught more than 1,000 engineering students and school children and all that. But when I will address the people on that day, on the event day, you should get a lot of school children also to participate. And next year, don't do this in the big cities. Go to the rural, smaller towns, smaller cities and all, and do all of these events there. And if you organize next year conference in some very remote place where, for example, a car doesn't go, I am okay to come on a bullock cart to that conference, but please go and do it in the remotest places where children will need this kind of an education. So it was a very great, humbling experience of President of India doing that kind of a vision to our chapter. We went and did that in the following years, and now the other chapter folks continue to do that. So that's a kind of a small story before I start on how an inspiring vision that Dr. Abdul Kalam shared with us as volunteers. So I'll stop with that. I'll get into the so what I'm put together some slides here. You don't need to worry about copying or making notes and all. You can make notes in your own way, but you don't need to copy whatever is there on the slide. I will send this PDF of this slide deck. I will share so that you will get to see this later on. So I've just classified this into 3 parts. One, I will give an overview of the Project Management Institute Educational Foundation that I'm representing today. What's it about? And then we have a partnership with JA and ITEGF. So that's one part. Then I'll tell you some very basics of project management that we can relate to in our day-to-day life, as Dinuji has said. And the last part is project management power skills. It's another part. What and why is about the science, and project management power skills about the art. So our work, the educational foundation, like any other foundations of big corporate offices and all that, it's a philanthropic arm of the institute. And its mission is to advance the understanding of project management principles worldwide, especially among the children. It is funded by PMI largely, the parent organization funds us. And this is a volunteer role that I got selected to the board through a very rigorous process. So it's a volunteer role. We don't get paid in any way. It's funded by individual donors, corporate donors, but largely by PMI. And the foundation is focused on the youth aged 5 to 19. So it's a very specific, not the practitioners, not the ones who have actually left the college and then joined job. This is not meant, education foundation is not meant for that. Then we work, and because I told you there are very, very less staff, for example, education foundation has about 6 staffers. We cannot go and touch children all over the world. And also we partner with youth serving non-profit organizations in more than 8, whose presence is there in more than 88 countries across the globe. As we talk this year, we are partnering with more than 15 partners who have got footprint in more than 88 countries. So our goal is to forge partnerships with non-profits, I mentioned to you already, and prepare youth for success by offering project management expertise, resources, and volunteers to aid them. So that's what we do. And why is it that we have to do this? We have to prepare today's youth is tomorrow's leaders of the nation, right? So as Gandhiji has said, so we have to catch them young, give them all those skills so that the nation will benefit. The future of the nation is in their hands and all that. So we want to prepare our youth for education globally by enhancing the development of their critical life skills. And that's what we do. So there is a team, largely global, largely they are all based out of the US, about 8 of them. This is the board of directors is very globally distributed. That's the way they are also selected onto the board. So they are all 3 of them from North America on the left side. 2 in the middle are from Europe. You will see me on the India. There are 2 from Africa and 1 from New Zealand. So it's pretty diverse group and very inclusive group of board of directors. Last year, the partners that we worked with, they are spread across all over the world. You can see them on a global map. There are some parts also in the Asia Pacific region, you will see. In 2022, we touched about 1.89 million youth enablements and about 115,000 non-youth through several volunteers, more than 450 volunteers, 25 chapters giving a lot of volunteer time. And the learning assets that the partners created reached 130 countries and 20 languages. So this is a picture from just about 2 months back. These girls from India, they made us really proud. The F1 in Schools is a global competition. F1 in Schools organizes a global competition for youth every year. And the youth, they actually go and build a F1 racing car. These are school children. And the Education Foundation has partnered with F1 in Schools to teach them also project management techniques in how they go about building their car and all that. And they all come to this global competition. So 2 months back, the Indian team of girls actually won the global award. So you can see them holding a flag there and all. And they made us really proud. So our boys and girls, we have a tremendous potential in India, especially now the opportunities are all global opportunities. Everything is available, all information available on the mobile at the same time as any other child in the world. So we sit on a humongous opportunity and all, and teachers like you actually go and transform their lives. So this slide about our partnership with TGLF, with Dinuji, and also she and me, we actually presented last year in the bigger, larger Asia Pacific conference about the work that we do. So those are all the goals for the PMI of partnership. So we work together, fund them, but then they all deliver those things and all. So it's a great partnership going on. So I'll stop with that about the first part of Education Foundation and how it works and all, and then directly come into the subject. And why project management for youth? That's the first one. So after a little while, when we move ahead, I want to keep this interactive, not just a one-on-one. So be ready if I'll ask you some questions or ask you to post something on the chat. So be ready with that. So why is project management for youth when they are in schools or in class 10 and 12 and all that? A research study done by Project Management Institute says that the children who have been exposed to a project management training, they are doing better, much better than the ones who have not done that. For example, they exhibit very strong attention to detail. They excel academically. They manage their time very, very efficiently. This is what children don't do well. Like even for me, I used to study at the last minute only just before the exam. So manage their time very effectively, can concentrate deeply for extended periods of time. So are very, very communicative, very, very clear in their communication. They work together in a very collaboratively with several other people. They understand other perspectives. So there are a lot of skills that these children gain when they are exposed to this project management profession. So that's what is the research telling, not me telling. So it's both art and a science, the project management. So it's now these days taught as an elective, even in the biggest MBA institutes like IIMs and all that, but more as a science and an art. So it's becoming, the world has become a one single, it's become flat and just one planet. So everything, equal opportunities for everybody. And also it's becoming more and more relevant now. So what's a project? The definition. So we are, all of us, I believe, understand what the project is. And we use this word project very frequently, unknowingly, but then more frequently in our day-to-day life. For example, we say we should give a project work to our students. So we are saying that it's a project work. I'm actually going to be on a next month on a big holiday. I have a big project coming up, my daughter's wedding. So people will say, okay, that's a project. So people use the word project being unmindful of actually doing in some way or the other, managing their project actually. But we sometimes don't recognize that we are doing and all. So I'll just bring in a little framework into how we do things and all, so that we can go back and relate. Oh, this is what I've been doing actually, and this way, if we can do it, can get better. So first thing is about a project. It's a very temporary endeavor, meaning you finish something, it is over at that time. And it is very, very unique. Because of its uniqueness, when there are no two similar projects that we can do in our life and all. So how we run our day today is different from how we ran our day yesterday, is going to be different from how we spend our day tomorrow. So every minute is different, every day is different, every work is different. So it's temporary and it is very, very unique. The important thing is it has got a very definitive beginning and an end. Always projects have got a beginning and an end. So if you will see, there will be nothing actually that has no time limit or that is infinite. We will never come across those kind of things in life. Everything everything in life has a finite beginning and an end. So anything that has got a timeline, beginning and an end, then we can actually call it as a project, as long as it creates a unique product, service, or a result. It's not regular, repeated, routine work is not project. If I'm studying for my exam every day, that's not a project. If I have prepared and planned for my preparation of my exam 1 month in advance, what I will do and all, then it's a project. But I'm just spending every day 1 hour on preparing for my examination. That's not a project. I'm just repeating its routine. And if it is too simple enough to be accomplished without a plan, then it is not a project and an activity that has no result. So it's very clear definition of what a project is. Now, if you'll go back and relate, what is it that we will do? I'll show you a case study as we go further, but that's the right definition. And it's a management and controlling a project that includes the process of planning, scheduling, and then monitoring. So these are all different parts of this. Now we are breaking how we will handle a project into different things that you are talking about. Managing a project, you're talking about controlling a project. And how do we do that? That it is first by planning, then you are going to schedule it, and then you are going to monitor the progress in order to set a goal. So we have just broken away all of that activities in that finite time into a specific processes. Next, it's a set of knowledge, skills, and tools and techniques that will ensure that all are successfully planned and completed at time with a quality, but we'll come to that later. This is a very important concept in project management that we should understand in order that we behave in a right way while we are working on whatever we call it as a project. It's called as triple constraint because there are 3 parts to this triangle. One is a time, other one is a cost, and the third one is a scope. Scope, cost, time, just keep quality aside for a while. Scope, cost, and time are 3 sides of a triangle. And you would know this much better than me as teachers. The interesting thing is, if you change one of these parameters, it will have an impact on 2 other parameters. That's natural in a triangle, right? Example, if you have got something to be done in some X work has to be done and it costs 100 rupees and takes 100 days. If I have to do half of that work, then I have to do it at half the cost and half the time. I cannot say, no, I will still need 100 rupees and 100 days to do this half of this work. People will not accept that one. It's natural. Or we wanted this scope and then 100 hours is there, but then suddenly we realize that we don't have 100 rupees. We have only 75 rupees to do this. If you have 75 rupees to do that, you cannot still complete that entire work with that lesser cost. Maybe you cannot engage more labor. Maybe it will take more time. If it is more time, then more people have to be, more resources have to be put in and all that. So any one of these parameters, if they change, then the other 2 parameters change as well. The success of a project lies in balancing these 3 parameters. That's the key. So, example, if we will reduce the scope, then we should go back to that person and say, okay, that's fine. Thank you for reducing the scope. But then I cannot do this at the same, then maybe, and then we can do it at a lesser time. Or if you increase the scope, this is what happens. Increase the scope, but people want the work to be done at the same time and same cost. That's not possible. So we have to go back and say, okay, you increase this work by 20%. How can we do this work at the same time and same cost? The cost and time also will increase. So that's the key, one of the key factors in understanding project management, the time, cost, and scope. The balancing act of all of these 3 parameters is one of the key factors for managing it. Who is involved in the project? So there is a project manager, there are project team members, Then there is a project sponsor. If you are a head of the family, if you are doing a wedding at our home, you are the head of the family, then you are the one actually who is putting the money on the table. So you are the sponsor. You are end responsible for your, say, daughter's wedding. So then you are putting the money on the table. So you are the project sponsor. Who is a project manager? Maybe your elder son possibly is a project manager, or maybe you yourself are also a project manager. Then there are several team members who are doing work for you on organizing different things, buying many things, contacting some people, arranging things, and all of this. So there are a lot of team members. Then there are a lot of stakeholders who have a stakeholder in this. So somebody's side, their relatives, our relatives, my family members, you have to go and prepare an invitee list. So there are a lot of stakeholders who have got an interest in this. So there are 4 different type of actors in every project. And if you are mindfully think about it, then you will be actually able to identify them. So the stakeholders can be, they have an interest, they have a feedback, they have a guidance, they can be involved or just interested in the project, or can care about our project results. So these kind of people. So they are all very important to identify who the stakeholders are for any of this work. Otherwise, they will come sometime later during the duration of the project, and then will cause disruption to all the planning that we have done. And all. So stakeholders are very important. Managing stakeholders is very important. The last one in this is project management processes. And this is largely the way, 4 different ways any project can be divided. And these are called project management process. You can go to Google and you will find 1 million things on project management. 99.9% of them will talk about this diagram that I'm showing. It has got any project from beginning till end. It has got an initiating stage, it has got planning stage, then it has got execution, and it has got a closure. And all through this project, there is a monitoring and controlling and all. So that's at a higher level, 5 different groups. The project management body of knowledge, I'll just make a mention, although it is not here. The body of knowledge has got about 102 or something process, 50 plus process. And almost 50 of them talk about planning. Almost 40 to 45% of them talk about planning. In other words, the more detailed planning you do and think about it early, the better will be the success of your project and all that. Unlike in some of the cultures, also in Indian culture, we try to just jump onto things and all that without thinking what's planning, without planning ahead and all, largely. And then we come to a certain point and then want to make amends and all that, do a lot of rework and then go back, and waste of time, waste of money. We will see that in all of this bridge construction, road construction, highways, everywhere on all of those projects, we see this example. We don't do a proper planning, just jump into execution very fast and then waste a lot of resources. But anyway, largely, there are 5 processes into this, and we will go to them in detail. So now we'll go into something that I want you also to get involved. And this is about a case study that I'm going to relate to with my own knowledge. Several years since I stopped going to my children annual day events. They're all very grown up, but from my little understanding I have put. So in initiating process group, it's about developing a charter. What are all the goals? Why are we doing this project at all? At the end of the project, what is it that it is expected to deliver? So what's the outcome of this if we are going to do this? And who are all the people who are going to be involved in this? What is their expectation of this project? Whether they will get involved in this fully, partially, not at all. Why are they actually coming on board to this? And then who is going to drive this project? Who is the project manager of this? Those are the things that we have to determine early. So that means We have to ask some of these questions. Why is this project being initiated? Why? But what's the outcome of this? Whom is it going to benefit? What is the benefit going to be? What are you going to deliver at the end? So that's to do with the scope and requirements. If we are to do that, what resources are needed for this? And resources is people, it's about money, it's about some material thing and all that. So what resources are needed to produce this? And when will we do this? Is it going to be after January that we want it to be done, or is it going to be December next year? There should be a definitive end to this. And who is going to work on this? I mean, who are all going to be, who is the work going to be done for? Those are stakeholders. How will we achieve these project goals and objectives? How will it be measured? If we have done all that, what's the success criteria for this? And who will run the project? That's the project manager. Who will pay for the project? That's the sponsor. So if we will ask all the questions on the left side, which possibly we are asking anyway when we are doing some work, but that relates to a project management on what is in the right. So this is what it is, and this is what you will relate to much better. So assuming that you are going to organize your annual day, and not assuming you will anyway organize the annual day, every school organizes that. So what are you going to deliver in an annual day? So there are several programs that will happen, and then we are going to deliver a nice experience to teachers, staff, children's parents, children's family who has come in and all that. This is what we are going to deliver. What resources and funds are needed to produce the deliverables? We need some teachers, we need staff, we need students, that's the human resources. Then we need some money for that one. And when will we produce this result? So I'm assuming that I just put a date there. 31st January is the school annual day, just as an example. Then we have time from October to January 31st, 24 to produce these deliverables. Who is the work being done for? I mean, why are we doing this? And a school principal has asked us to do for the teachers, parents, there are several. These are all called the stakeholders in project management terminology. How will you achieve these goals, and how will the success be measured? Who will run the project? Who will pay for the project? Whether the school principal will pay for the project, or sometimes management will pay, sometimes the children's family will pay, sometimes some sponsor will pay, whoever. But who will pay for the project is very important. If you do all of those things, but you don't know who will pay for it, then possibly you will not have any money to do this project and all, it will be a failure. So first and foremost is who will pay? And if they pay, what's their interest? They will also, if they are paid, they have an interest in that, and they will tell you what's going to be the success criteria of this. And then you will go and plan. So I ask you now, what do you think about this? Are there any things that come to your mind on initiating of a project if you are doing a school annual day? Anything else that comes to your mind that I missed, or any other angle to be thought of? You can please post on the chat, not on the Q&A, okay? Okay, there are already some questions that I will anyway answer later. There were some things on the Q&A that I will answer, but any thoughts on how, what is it, if you are to do an annual day, what else comes to your mind about initiation? All right, so meanwhile, all right, so then, hold on, let me check.
Ramam sir, there are already some ideas that the teachers are putting in the chat.
Yes, I'm just saying. What great, okay.
Logistics.
Children learn to work
Presentation.
with the team and they learn time management. Fantastic, actually. That's a great one. What if we want our product to be cost effective, and also we'll come to that. Milestones and plan was to include project management as topic in our curriculum. We will come to see, the next one is what I'm going to teach is how to set up planning, what are the milestones and all. So you just hold on for a while, you will listen to that. When ultimate purpose of the project is not reached, how to continue the planning? Yes, that's a great question. And globally, for all the big projects where a lot of money is put and all, the projects are classified into successful projects, failed projects, and there is another category in between. So failed projects are almost 50% or more than 50% of the projects are failed projects, meaning they have stopped the project after seeing that it's not going to meet the goal. Successful projects, they are the ones that have met the scope, time, cost, and budget and all that. There is a category in between. They are typically the projects that got delayed. For example, a lot of projects we see it in our newspaper in India. Specifically the roads and build flyovers, bridges, and all that. They have crossed the timeline. They cost sometimes 2 times more the money, but we still wanted government decides to go ahead with that because it's in the public interest that they do and all. Ideally, the successful projects, if you will go to say Reliance and then ask them how do they do all of these projects. They are constantly monitoring and controlling the project on a weekly basis. Make sure that nothing is slipping once they have planned and also a strong controlling and monitoring mechanism is needed when for a replanning. And sometimes people replan all of those things and all depending on the situation. So not everything will go as per prediction. So replanning has to be done, but looking at all the parameters that are needed, bringing all the stakeholders into taking them into confidence and then replan.
So Ramam sir, if you look at the chat option, teachers have put in their ideas on what can be other possible reasons for initiation. There is logistics, there is presentation.
I'm not on the chat.
Okay, we'll fix that, and in the meantime, read out what they have written. So
okay, some of them are posted actually in the Q&A. So there are 2 parts here.
Yeah, so if you go to the chat.
All right, 1 second. Yeah.
You will be able to see the
how
comments
to, yeah,
that the teachers have
no, some great ones. Everyday plan of time and PDS, yes, dividing responsibilities, excellent one. Key given question is to ask right questions and all that, then you will get. Logistics, yeah, absolutely. That's a very good one. Presentation, we can think of some themes. Yes, absolutely. Some themes have to be thought of before we go out on an annual day. You will see that when I'll talk more. Theme of the annual day, yeah, perfect. That's the first thing. And we will also cover that. Dividing responsibilities and plan of time every day. Absolutely great answer. We can put the persons who will be giving us their service, the studio who will record our function. Fantastic response. Example, if you are making an annual day, your stage has to be decorated, or you need an audio, video, and all. You will need someone to provide this service. He's a very important stakeholder. Absolutely great suggestion. How to include all students in the annual day, aligning to the theme. How will the theme address a social message? All these things come to my mind. It's fantastic. So these are all terrific suggestions. Thank you very much for very great insights and great examples. Maximum participation of students, setting up of hierarchy for crisis management. Wow, that's fantastic. We will talk about risk management. So you're already talking about that. maximum participation of students. Our area is totally tribal and there is difficulty to communicate. So how can I introduce students about project management? So we will talk about it separately. So all great suggestions. So thank you very much. As we progress, there'll be more of those coming in and all that. So thanks very much for this. So we will move on. Thanks for those. We'll now move from an initiating to a planning process group. And this is where we have to define what is the scope, what's a work breakdown structure, how do we develop a schedule, like someone else you have asked. If you have to develop a schedule, then you have to first identify resources. Then we have to deliver for each of those activities. What are we going to deliver at the end of it? So all of these have to be thought of while doing a planning. So what are the questions that we would ask if we are collecting requirements? So what are the outputs that we want out of anything, out of this event? What characteristics that each of these output have? And how good should this be? So we have to list down all this. So I'll go directly to the, so that you can relate it to. In terms of a scope for us, for example, what's the duration of the program? Is it for 2 hours or is it for 3 hours? Is it for a half day? What is it that we are going to do? We have to first decide that one. So that will define the boundaries of the scope. What kind of an activities? So maybe there are cultural activities, there are sports. Then there is a chief guest. Who is going to be a chief guest? So I'm just giving an indicating, but you can put it on chat, more things when we come as we go. So activities, who is going to do each of this? When are they going to do? And how much does it cost? So we have to slowly think of breaking down all of these things. And this is what is known as work breakdown structure. And I'll show you an example of that. So what are the outputs? If we have to see from that, I've said here, what are the outputs on the top line? Answer this question. So what are the outputs? Sports activities are all completed before 31st January. Cultural programs practiced and children are ready. Chief guest is confirmed. Prizes are purchased. Stage, audio, video is all arranged. So those are some of the outputs when we have completed many of these activities. So we are working reverse. What is that we want to achieve at the end? For example, prizes purchased. If the prizes have to be purchased on 31st January or they should be available in school, delivered by 25th January, we should start planning for those already, say in November. How many prizes are required? Where do we order these? Do we get them in the same shop? Who is going to be a reliable vendor? What different kinds of things? When will we place the order? Do we have the money to do that? How do we choose that? Place the order, get them delivered by 25th. There are a lot of activities in those ones. So those are the output is going to drive what are all the activities to get done and done so that you actually go and hit the target. Constraints, there will be always constraints on what you want to do, right? I mean, we have world of resources is not available at our disposal. So there will be constraints for doing everything. What can be the constraints? Sports, if you have to do, they have to be conducted after school hours, for example. Teachers' time has to be freed up to organize things. So you teach all of them from morning till evening, but then you have to also participate in this, spend some of your family time in school in order to do that. How many are willing to do? All of those are constant. External vendors deliver quality service. So those are some examples. So work breakdown structure here is an example. There is a dance in the activities. So you select the theme. Someone has written theme of the annual day. Someone has written already, or theme for some of the events. Beautiful. So what's the theme? Then you have to select students accordingly based on that theme. Then you have to decide how many practice hours are required, whether you will need any costumes for that. Who is going to get those costumes? So there are several activities like listed here as sub bullets here. We have to think and think and think and think and write all the activities up to a minimum most level that can be measured. The more detailed the activities are, the better the planning would be. Because for all of these activities, what we are going to do is we are going to get, based on that, we are going to plan the time and cost for those based on those activities. So defining the detailed activities for each work breakdown, structure element and all, that's the way it is. So any comments or responses, please put it on the chat, whether something else would come to your mind, whether this is all right for you, what any other ideas or any other activities that comes to your mind. Okay, so we face one problem while taking 100% participation. Our auditorium capacity is 1/3 of the strength. Having it on 3 days causes a lot of burden and cost. Of course, it's great. So that's a great example of a constraint. And how do you want to overcome that one? Well, you want to do, if you want to do 100% of the participation, then possibly you have to do it somewhere outside. But if you have to do it outside, then it is a burden for students to travel. Also, it is going to cost you more money. So how do you balance that? What's the decision? That's up to your stakeholders, up to your management to make a decision. If you organize based on a same, sometimes number of participants are more than our estimation, then what should we do at the last minute? Now, this is a great question. Just as we estimate some time and sometimes it goes on and all, quite often in the estimation world, the research says that you should always build in 10 to 15% of buffer. Like if you will assume that 100 students would come, then you should prepare for 115. And quite often there are also instances you expect for 100, only 50 will show up. Then we'll be wasting a lot of resources. Having in this kind of events, having more is better choice than having less. If it is less, then people will go and crib and say, okay, our skill has not provided this. My snacks was not available. I didn't get a prize after participation. So there will be leave a very bad mouthing and then bad impression. So better to do it more. So answer is you should put in some buffer for all of those things while planning. And we can ask, okay, we can ask RSVP from a parents in advance. Yeah, if that kind of a provision is there, and if some of those schools, if the parents are also advanced, that they can possibly send a SMS to you or send a mail to someone, some mail ID, that'll be great. If you can get an RSVP, that'll be a fantastic thing. So thanks very much for all those nice suggestions. So we move from the activity to the schedule part. Here is the thing that you want to do. First, decide categories, organize sports. On a parallel track, identify vendor and number of prizes, purchase prizes. The way these are done is about scheduling. How much time is needed, how much money is needed, whether they have to be done one after another, or whether they can be done simultaneously in parallel. All of this are to be decided at this point of time with every activity. We need not wait for one activity to be completed to start another activity. I gave this example here. While you decide the categories and finalized it on what sports, you can already know how much first and second prize, 25 categories of sports. First prize, second prize, and consolation prize. So 3 prizes into 25, 75 prizes. Different categories, 1 to class 5, 1 category 5 to 10. I'm just throwing another one. So once you arrive at that, parallelly, while the sports are conducted, you can also identify a vendor, number of prizes, purchase prizes. So what I'm saying is, while drawing a schedule, it's very important to know how many of them are. Put the activities in sequence, estimate the resources, estimate the calendar time, and then create a schedule. That's an example of activity list. So when we say about resources, what are the resources that are available generally? Either it is people, or it is material, or it is money. So one of these 3 resources. For every activity, we should identify whether we need any people. If yes, who are those people? We need money, and how much money is required. We need material, what kind of a material is required, and how much does it cost to get that material. We have to estimate resources for every single activity if we have to do good planning. So decide categories. Here is an example. Decide categories. What does it require? 1 week. Who are the resources? Teachers will decide. Identify the organizers. Takes 1 week. Teachers and students are required. Organize sports, 6 weeks. You need to buy kits, you need a ground, you need organizers, you need umpires, you need to get all of those resources. You have to buy prizes. It will take 4 weeks, for example, you need money. So this is an example of activity needing how much people, how much material, how much money. So we have to go to this kind of a detail in order to do good planning. So project schedule. When should each task and deliverable be completed? We should know if 31st January is the annual day, when should each of these activities be completed? I'm assuming that 25th January that we have practiced for all the drama, for dances, sports completed, blah, blah. Who is responsible for each deliverable and task? Who is responsible for dance? Who is responsible for sports? Who is responsible for kids? Who is responsible for buying things? Who is responsible for stage creation? Who is responsible for audio selection? We have to have persons identified, named, and let them know that this is what they have to do. These are the resources they have, and they have to complete this task by this date. They should be very clear about that. So what we have talked about this. Now, quality. This is an interesting one. In the triangle that I showed you, I talked about scope, time, cost, and below there was also a quality tied to that, and it is not shown separately. A good project management practice assumes that we do a quality job all the time, and you build that into your planning itself. Example, if 25 days is needed to buy prizes, for example, that vendor will tell you, okay, you need 75 this categories of prizes. I will deliver to you in 25 days. If he doesn't deliver after 35 days also, and he will deliver it to you on 30th night at 11 o'clock, then it's not a quality work. So while scheduling itself, you have to identifying the vendor, whether it's a reliable fellow. Talking to him after every 1 week and asking, hey, you have got another 3 weeks to complete this. Is it progressing well? Ask half the time. You say, okay, when are you delivering? After 3 weeks, stop by his shop and say, what's happening? Show me which are all. So this kind of a close monitoring actually will improve the quality, and the quality is built into the each activity. So determine what quality means for our annual day project, for example. No injuries to children. That means we have done some quality work in all of our activities. No disturbance to classes, teachers, students, no disturbance to classes, but then we organized our annual day extremely well. That means we have done a quality planning. Everyone had a great experience coming to that annual day. That's a quality thing. How will we ensure quality? Then I told you some examples, but for example, if you don't want injuries, then you have to inspect the grounds before actually the sports will start, right? Those kind of things and all. So planning quality has to be done at an activity level during the planning stage itself. The last one is about risk management. And there are always risks, right? Everything that I hope, everything that we plan will go as we planned and all that, then we will not remember God for that one. So things don't go exactly the way we wanted them. So there are always some unknown factors that would come in. Sometimes known, sometimes unknown, sometimes we predict, sometimes we don't predict. You plan for an annual day because you have a nice ground in your school. It may rain that day and spoil the whole party. All kind of things will happen. So we have to good project management practice. You have to identify the risks, anticipate the risks early, and then plan around how do we mitigate those risks and all. So there are two types of risks. There are threats, and sometimes the risk can be an opportunity as well. So here is an example, and then you can write on the chat what you think. For example, the chief guest drops off at the last minute, and we have printed invitations, everybody is known, and then the local education minister will come for the party to the inaugurate, and suddenly they drop off. What do we do? Identify an alternative speaker, keep engaged with chief guest, call him 3 days back and say, sir or madam, do you need a car? And so that, no, I'll come on my own. And that means that person is coming. So you're trying to do a conversation just to be sure that the chief guest is still aware that that person has to come 3 days later and do that one. Who is going to do that? There's an owner called Ashwin. He is going to do that and make sure that the chief guest is coming on that day. He is received well, and then he is dropped off in his call after the event and all. There's one person responsible. Rain on the event day, either you get tents or you plan to organize inside the theater and all. Who is going to bring all that? So there is a person responsible. Children, despite all measures that we take, children injured during sports, it can happen. So although we took all the care, but we should anticipate that a couple of them will get injured while running or doing something. So keep a doctor on site. Engage an ambulance that you will call. Someone would come in 5 minutes time and say, okay, these are all sports happening in the next 1 month in our school. 108, please be on alert. If you will need, we will call up. So we are anticipating a risk and making a mitigation plan. Who is the person responsible for that? Rohit is the person. Food and snacks last year were not good. People didn't like it. And after all the great programs, people said very bad snacks. This time we should do a good job. How do we do? There is a team that will go and do a food tasting before finalizing the vendor. So these are all some examples of how we can anticipate risks and mitigate those risks. So if you have any thoughts on how or any risk that you didn't anticipate but that has happened and then that has caused a disruption to any of those projects, if you have got some examples, please put them on the chat. Yeah, main character fails sick. Among the children, when we plan all of those dance drama, the best dancer falls sick at the last minute, down with fever. How do we handle that? And we should anticipate. It should not be that we will drop off the dance completely, then the remaining 10 boys and girls will get disappointed. So how do we handle that? Who is the alternate boy or girl who is going to take up that role? And also we should anticipate. That's absolutely a good point. All right. So these kind of things will happen, and you know more of these things. And the point I'm making is if we spend some time in anticipating the risks and see a probability of its occurrence, what's the impact of it? Sometimes the probability is low, but the impact is very high. Chief guest drops off at the last minute, probability is very, very low. But if that happens, then the whole program will go into a jeopardy. The impact is very high. So then wherever the impact is very high, we have to pay more attention. So I'm just trying to illustrate those examples for you. All right, so plan people. This is very important. Although I gave some names, they're all of the cricketers, but gave some names. Important is to acquire people, the project team, each one or a group of people who will work on each of those activities and all. We have to earmark those things and then let them know that you are on this team now till January 31st, till our annual day is over. Then you have to tell each of them what their role is. They should know clearly what they are supposed to do. They should not be guessing, oh, okay, this is what possibly I will do and all, then there is a chance of a failure. So they should know what their role is specifically. And your project team members should be assigned to activities and by explaining to them what their role is. Sometimes people may need training, then you have to train them. And how you will motivate and reward your team and all that is up to you. Sometimes people will do, okay, all the students come onto the stage who have done all the voluntary work for the school teachers and boys and girls come up, so we all go up the stage at the end of the function and everybody will stand up and clap. That's a very reward. Or you give them some certificate next day in the class. Okay, this person has volunteered and then it has been. So do some recognition for them, reward them, and show them your gratitude that for whatever they have done. And also they'll be motivated. Seeing them being recognized will motivate more people to come next year, come on board and then participate in these things and all. So that's a part of planning people. Last one on this is communication plan, and it's very, very important for project success. The biggest reason for project failure is lack of communication, actually. So poor communication can cause misunderstanding, wasted time, and after 1 week of my doing, then you will tell me, no, this is not the way, this is not what I expected. Then it is late. I've wasted 1 week of time already, then I have to make up for that and all. So communication is very, very important to all the project team members, to stakeholders, to the project sponsor. Constantly, we have to be in a communication with the project team and all the stakeholders and also. And there are several skills that are there here that are shown: increased knowledge, improve performance, convincing others, encouraging the team, minimizing disruption. There are several methods, but then important is communication. Execution. Now, if all the planning and all of it is done, now comes the execution. Just begin working on the assigned task. Every week, we are just going on and then we are following up on issue. There are risks. There are things not working. We are replanning and all of those things. And also, execution is going on at this. That's when we have to monitor and control the project. So we have to tackle any issues that are happening. We suddenly realize we cannot organize so many sports. Then we have to suddenly decide after 2 weeks, okay, we are cutting down from 10 different sports to 7 sports only because we have lack of time. Something like that we have to do midway. It can only be done if we do a close monitoring and control of the project. And for whenever we do this, we have to go and tell the people, I'm a cricket enthusiast. You will announce that there'll be a cricket tournament. I'm excited. But we have dropped cricket from that. I should know already, so that otherwise I'll be very disappointed with that. So status meeting, status reports, observation. So there are all many things to it. So easiest way, most simple way to track a project is ask people, what were you supposed to do last week and what did you actually do? Whether it was all on time. Next one, what are the things you are planning to do next week? And whether everything is going on as planned, whether there are any issues, do you anticipate any new risks? Do you need any help from me? You have to just get an answer that everything is going on fine. Otherwise, if they will ask bring about issues and all that, you have to just resolve them quickly so that the next week it's again back on track and all. So making the most of status update, we should do status update. In companies, they make people's life hell by asking too much of status updates, not to go that far, but someone who is managing the project should be able to monitor it very well. So this is the most important one. We covered all of this: initiating, planning, executing, closing, and something that is cutting across all of this is monitoring and closing. So that's the science part of project management. So before I go to sound system, I'm just going to see the chat here. We have some all-rounders take up that role. Prepare 2 students if the main character falls sick. That's a great risk management plan. We missed the CD to be played for a record dance. That's another interesting one. So this happens in big conferences also. There are people who are actually on the other side signaling to the audio guy, okay, you have to play this and all. So but this happens all the time. Once I arranged a function in auditorium, but at the day of the event, rain started and the auditorium started leaking. Oh my God, I don't have any other place. What should we do in this situation and all that? So this happens. So again, we have to go and find another place. This happens in major professional big events, it happens. And I'm telling you, once we organized a project management conference in Bangalore, Dr. Abdul Kalam was himself the speaker for that, and it started raining. But one part of that big hall had tin sheets on the top. Because of the rain, it started making such a lot of sound. And then it is just behind a railway track. So there is a railway track, rail going disturbance, and then after that it started raining. So there is a lot of sound in there. This happened when Dr. Abdul Kalam was the keynote speaker of that. So you can imagine what kind of port planning that has happened at that time. So things still, despite doing all this, it can happen. But we have the earlier we anticipate, the better it is. So next year, maybe you have to spend some money and do it outside. Sound system is not working properly. Yes. Can I get this PPT? Of course, I told in the beginning itself, I'll make a PDF out of this and then share it with you so you can use it. Okay, we are getting closer to the finish. So the last part I will cover to you, this is about the power skills needed for children, especially the children in India that we need. So we are going to talk about those power skills shortly, and then we will do an interactive session. So power skills, the students, they have now unlimited access to all the knowledge, much better than what you and me had. Everything is available on a mobile, everything is, I used to be a computer programmer, C programming language in mid-80s. First time when I attended the training in 86 or something like that. Then I met a friend's brother-in-law who came from the US, and it was news to me. That is before the internet. He said, I have undergone this training 4 years back in the US, and we are doing a lot of work already in C programming. It was news to me that some other part of the world, they had this knowledge 4 years earlier than me. It didn't occur to me till that time. That was the days. Now, children have got access to every kind of a knowledge, anybody under the sun, same time from their, wherever they are, on the road, in a cinema hall, in their home, in a school, whatever. Despite that, there are some skills that are missing from these children. It's about the general arts, mathematics, social science, and all of it. That's all one. But the leaders of tomorrow will need some of the life skills. And these life skills, research has shown that there are, it's called as 4C framework. There are 4 skills that are needed, and especially for children in India, that includes my children. I'm an Indian by heart. I chose to work from India, not going abroad and all that. So I'm very, very Indian at heart. So whenever I go to these global conferences and global meetings, I worked in these bigger teams and all that. Even the people who have done their MBA from bigger institutes, premier institutes and all, they have all the knowledge. They can tremendous in mathematics, science, a lot of knowledge. They don't open their mouth. They are very shy. They have great ideas, but don't express themselves because that's not a part of our culture. We have to change that at the grassroots level for those children. And each of us, if you transform 10 people, that's fine. So you have that privilege to change all of those things. So what are those things? Creative thinking, critical thinking, communication, and collaboration. And these 4 skills have got a direct impact on how we manage the 4 stages of the project. Example, initiation. If you have a school day, annual school day, and if you tell your children, hey, let's name our school day this year with some new name. Come up with some new names that you have done. So you have allowed them to think creatively on all of those things. And they'll say, okay, I'll give a prize to you. The best name seen by the judges will get a prize. People will suddenly start putting their creative thinking hats and then do. So use a wide range of data creation techniques such as brainstorming. It's not just about measuring children by marks. It's measuring children by their creativity, how they are thinking out of the box, What new ideas are they coming with? If you will see now globally, there are so many CEOs that are all Indians, but they're all working in abroad and all. Why? Because they create that kind of an environment there to share all those ideas and all. Here, we kill some of those ideas and all. We mean it's not you and me, but I'm just telling the culture. So promote new and worthwhile ideas, elaborate, refine, encourage, evaluate ideas, and then help them take forward. Communicate new ideas to others more effectively. Don't feel shy about it. They'll say, okay, what an idea, Sarji karke there is that video ad. Like that, every idea is a good idea. So every idea is a what an idea, Sarji kind of a thing. So be open and responsive to new and diverse perspective. Don't tell, this is a very bullshit idea. What nonsense. Don't waste time. If you will tell them, even the people who have got good ideas will stop thinking creatively. Demonstrate a high level of originality and inventiveness and view failure as an opportunity to learn. This is to do with emotional intelligence as well. So it's okay. People will lose. People don't get, not everybody will get a first rank. I was not a first ranker in my class and all. But then world is full of opportunities and all. So viewing failure as an opportunity to learn. You have thought creatively, that didn't work out. Again, another new creative thought. So that's about work creatively with others. Then critical thinking, reason effectively, meaning not accept everything and then, yeah, we will go and do and all. It's not going to work. There'll be always a lot of constraints in doing those things and all. So idea has to be at the same time, while we want to encourage people, we also want to view it critically. Not just because I gave you an idea, you will not give me 1 lakh rupees to try my idea, although you know it is going to be a failure. It doesn't work that way, right? So you reason effectively, use system thinking, make judgments and decisions based on some evaluation and then putting some right parameters, and then solve problems and be a solution provider, not just bringing some problem and all. Anybody will bring a problem and say, okay, think of a solution. Come with 3 alternative solutions along with the problem, then we will sit together and all that. These are all critical thinking techniques that we should impart in our children. Then communication, very, very important. It's not just, I told you already, it's not just about having all the knowledge and having all the great ideas and all. That we should be able to articulate all of those ideas in a very effectively to catch the attention of people. In some of the schools, they do like they call it as in the management jargon, they call it as elevator pitch. An elevator pitch is that you met someone and you want to sell that idea to that person about you. You have some great idea, great thinking or something. You get into the lift and only that person and you are present in the lift. By the time the lift goes from 1st floor to the 10th floor, you have the opportunity to sell your idea to that person. That's called as elevator pitch. So what is that pitch you will make about the idea to that person in that short period of time? How will you articulate your thought and ideas effectively to catch the attention of that other party? Listen effectively to decipher meaning, including knowledge, values, and sometimes we are very poor listeners, right? We just want to go at like, sometimes I have been talking now for the last one, or I don't know if I'm a good listener, but I believe in my leadership roles, I was able to solve problems of my colleagues only because I listened to them everywhere and anywhere, anytime. I listen to them, then they know that, okay, I can go and speak to Ramam about this, he will listen. Sometimes, even if I am not able to solve that problem, if they are still happy, at least there was someone who gave them time to listen. Use communication for a range of purposes and then use multiple medias. Collaborating with others, this is sometimes an issue, even at workplace. Children have to learn to work effectively with all others in diverse teams and all of it. So children have to learn to work effectively very early in their life. Sometimes my parents will take very pride. My son is just not sharing anything with his other children and all. So he's very possessive about it. They are very proud about that. But then that's not going to take their children very long in their career and all that. So demonstrate ability. This world today, just with all the technology, is all about collaboration. Nobody can do anything on their own. Maybe I will get a first rank in my school, but beyond that, I just cannot be a first rank everywhere. And I have to learn to work with people. Exercise flexibility and willingness to be helpful in making necessary compromises to accomplish a goal. Assume shared responsibility for collaborative work. So those are all skills that are needed in initiating plan, in planning stage, in execution stage, and in closing stage while monitoring and all that. So all of these are needed while doing this one. So that's about the skills needed for. That's the art side of project management. The first part was about the science side of project management. So I will stop here and I'll stop here. So anything that you want to comment, can put it either in the chat. If you have any questions,
All the teachers, now is the opportunity to interact with Mr. Ramam sir. You can put your queries, also any comments in the Q&A section, and sir will be looking forward to all of them.
yeah, on the chat, someone said one of the reasons for people not talking is in English language. Yeah, that's true. But then but my own observation, I agree with you. There are a lot of people who don't study in English medium schools, and even if they will study, they don't practice speaking skills and all that. I was also one of them in my younger days. But the interesting observation I have is, for example, the French-speaking people. Even if they think that they are speaking in broken English, they will still go and speak in their own broken English. They don't hesitate. They don't feel shy. They will say, okay, I'm a Frenchman. My mother tongue is French, but I'm trying to speak in English to you because you will understand, and they will go and talk, and they don't hesitate. We neither make that statement nor talk, and that's what we have to overcome. That's my point. Okay. I will go to the Q&A section. Principal will give a good graduation with knowledge comes great. What's the use of project management in terms of all lab? How to explain it to? One second. What's the use of this?
I think the question is to do with the Atal Tinkering Labs.
Oh, okay.
The Atal Tinkering Labs that are there in the school, and I think the teacher here is wanting to see how will it help the Atal Tinkering students as they innovate, create on their projects.
Yeah, so I don't know about the Atal lab, but the creative thinking and all of it if it is to do with innovation and innovative ideas and all, if you're trying to promote, that's what the Atal innovation is trying to do. Then I think you should apply first that 4C framework, the creative thinking, the collaborative thinking and all that. First, we should deploy those brainstorming techniques, funneling all of those things and all, then putting them as an initiating for a project, seeing that what kind of resources are required, what kind of a budget is required and all that. Most importantly, what that idea is going to deliver at the end, evaluate them all on certain parameters, decide which is the idea which is that innovation that we can take it forward that's going to have a larger impact, then apply some of those skills, collaborative skills and all of it, then do a planning on initiating, planning, execution and all of it, and then do all of it. It's a combination of to shortlist an idea is the art part of it, the 4C framework. Then to actually, once the idea is finalized, how to take that idea to a completion is the science part of it that we should apply. I hope that answers your question. Part they are good. How to motivate children to participate. I think how to motivate children are Not that I have an answer, but I think children, if they different children behave in a different way and all that, so they say in English, different strokes for different folks. You deal with them in a better way. So among you, there may be better ideas than me suggesting I don't work with children, and also it'll be unfair for me to make any recommendation. It's a wonderful session, like the idea of art and ceremony. Many times my students give up in between the preparation of competition, how to tackle it. No, I think we have to motivate. This is a great one. It's the same thing happens at workplace also. People give up halfway due to various reasons and all that. This will be, this is on the soft skill of the project manager, that we have to inspire them by showing the what's, people have to see the end result of anything that they would do. And if they are able to relate to that end result, then people will run till the end, So that's my experience also at a workplace. So we should show them the benefit of running with it till the end. First is, what is in it for me? What is the great learning that I will get while if I'll run till the end? Run meaning not physically run, but I'm just going from here. By not dropping off in between, but pursuing it till the end. What's it that I'm going to gain? If you will communicate to me very well, and if I buy into it, you don't need to tell me. I will anyway go and do that one. But when I do all that one, whether it's a failure or a success, that I get recognized at least for running that, while others for not doing it and all that. That'll be an additional motivation. So showing the end goal in a very inspiring way, and then recognizing them to reach till the end, I think will inspire many other people. Sometimes teachers are not well equipped or not updated with knowledge. How can a teacher lead that project? I think this is a fair point. What Dinuji and all team are doing is actually that human service, getting exposure to all of those teachers to go and learn some of these tools and techniques. And then if you will need, for example, if you will need more specific ones from PMI, then we can actually go and organize specific, more detailed ones to all of those teachers and all. We have to just facilitate and enable that learning to those people and bring the resources to help them actually get better. I think that's what this is. If students are given opportunity to manage program with proper guidelines, they would do better and more creative. I 200% agree with you with this question. So sometimes the more aged we are, the more closed our minds are. Whether the students have got more open thinking. I'll tell you, when my son was studying engineering in Manipal, years long back, like more than 15 years back, he got an opportunity to work on building a Formula One Manipal, they used to call, so Formula One racing car. And he joined that team. I visited him about 3 months later in that place. And so I used to ask him, who are all the others who are participating in this? He said, they're all students who are doing this. And I went, visited them 3 months later. And he was in third year of engineering, not even the final, second or third year. All other students were his peers from other engineering groups and all who got selected through a process. The project lead actually was on a similar team when he was in second year. So he is the lead for this year. He selected the team members through a very rigorous interview process. University used to fund money. And all of them will assemble every single day after the college, after they finish their dinner and studies from 8 o'clock till 11 o'clock, they had to work. They did incredible planning. I was very, very surprised and then very impressed with how they managed. There was some guy with the responsibility of marketing. There was one who was on engineering design. There was someone who would buy all of this equipment. There's someone else who will order all the materials. They divided the roles and all of it among all those team members. They did incredible job. So I agree with you. Sometimes you leave it to the children. I think they will do it much better. Thank you very much. All right. So I think I answered how collaboration helps in project management. Project management is all about collaboration. Project team members are all there, stakeholders, there are project team members, there are leads. You are working with several people in a project for a success of the project. So collaboration is at the center of success of project management. All right.
Teachers, I think so. We will be moving forward. If you have any more questions, you can write in the Q&A box. Otherwise, we'll be opening the webinar to the post-survey forms. If you have any queries, now is the time to write in the Q&A box.
Thank you. If there are no more questions, then thank you very much for the opportunity. I hope.
Sir, we have just one more question. Sorry to interrupt.
Okay.
This is by Mr. Vinay Chandra. Time management is the most challenging aspect of any project. He's wanting you to give some more tips on it, sir.
So if time management also in our life is a challenge while I'm delivering a lecture, I cannot claim that I'm good in time management and all. But I think learning project management and teaching project management and practicing has actually helped me realize what not to do to fail in my time and all. So time management, it gets better if you will plan your activities well and schedule them in a nice way to complete all of them and all, then you will be better off in time management. However, for example, if I'll ask you from your home to your school when you go every day, example, or you go to your work from your home, how much time will it take for you to go to your school every day if I'll ask you? And you may say, okay, 25 minutes. Are you reaching every day? If you start at 8, you're reaching 8:25. You start at 8:05, you're reaching 8:30. Is 25 minutes, is it happening every day? No, it's not happening every day because there are more traffic signals on the way. Something else has happened. Some VIP is going. Some puncture has happened. There is more traffic. There are 100 other things and all. So there is a technique to that. They say when you estimate a time, you should see what's the most optimistic time, what's a pessimistic time, and what's a realistic time. You have to put all of those things together. Some days it takes 30 minutes, some days it takes 20 minutes. So I think I go in about 25 minutes, if you will say. That's much better than saying that just 25 minutes and all. So we have to plan our activity. We have to identify what are the activities, estimate what's the time required in a very realistic way, which you will learn by experience, by after failures and after missing the target. But then we will get better. But then the better the planning, better the managing time.
Thank you so much, Ramam sir. Now, I would like to move forward. It was a very wonderful session, teachers, but please, before you leave, we have a post-survey form. You should see the QR code on your screens in a few minutes. And please, we would like you to fill the post-survey form. It will definitely make an impact. Feedback is always necessary and always welcome.
Yeah, no, if there's any feedback for me, I'll be very happy to, if I do this session another time, if there is something I can improve, I'll be very happy to.
Of course, sir. Teachers, you can now see on your screen a QR code. You can scan the QR code. Otherwise, there's a link as well just below the QR code. You can click on it. Or you can copy it in your own browser. It will take you to the feedback form. We're also putting the link in the chat, so you can all use the link in the chat to get forwarded to the post-survey feedback form and fill it. We have put the post-survey feedback form link in the chat as well for those who want the link to the form.
Can we please check the feedback form? Teachers are writing that it requires permission. Teachers, just give us 30 seconds. We will fix that and you will be able to access the form. And it won't take you very long. It will just take you 2 minutes to complete it, requesting all of you to please submit the completed form so that we can then thank our expert and end today's session. Yeah, we are just fixing the permission problem. Just give us 30 seconds, please, teachers.
Jinuji, if you will, if there's any feedback for me that I can get better in this presentation next time, I'll be very happy to hear that.
Thank you. Definitely, Raman sir. But going by the comments that are coming in the chat, the teachers have really enjoyed the session. You can see that it is, there's been a lot of learning for them as well and take backs
Thank you.
from your guidance to them.
It's my pleasure to be helpful to them. Yeah, I'm seeing the remarks.
Teachers, please give us a second. We're just checking for the permission setting. Meanwhile, please be patient and stay with us. We would very much like for your feedback to be with us.
Thank you, teachers. I hope the link is working now.
Teachers, you can now access the link. We'll put it again in the chat box. Here's, I think the link is now working. Still, if any one of you encounters any problem, please feel free to tell us in the chat box.
Teachers, we will request you to just put it in the chat that you have submitted the completed form. Thank you, Kalpesh. And if we can have the others also put it in, we will know that you are done. Teachers, please take a look at the chat. I will request my team to put the link once again. Some teachers are asking for the link again. So if the link to the feedback form can be put again, teachers, there it is. Wonderful. Lots of teachers have completed and submitted. Teachers, thank you so much. We'll just give it another 30 seconds for a few more teachers to complete. Wonderful. Thank you so much for putting it in the chat. This is really helpful for us. Yes, certainly. Certainly. We will be having more and more of such sessions, and we will keep you all informed. Thank you so much, Prerna. Yes, it does seem to be scary only for MBA students, but Ramam sir has made it simple and relatable and easy to understand. Thank you so much. Yes, absolutely. Project management can also be done by your students. Ramam sir, you're on mute.
No, I'm saying anybody can do. You don't need a qualification for that. You need just a common sense and commitment to do. That's it.
Absolutely. It's just getting the science and the process together.
That's it. That's it.
And once we have that, managing any project can become really
Yeah.
simple and easy.
Yeah.
Yes, so teachers, on the question of certificates, we will be emailing your e-certificates to you. Give us some time and we will email those to you on the email ID that you have used to register for this webinar. And the email ID that you would have put in your feedback form. Great. I think a lot of teachers have done. So while we wait for the last few teachers to submit, Dipanshu, over to you for a big thank you to Ramam sir for giving us his time. Over to you.
Thank you, ma'am. So now that we move towards the conclusion of our event, first and foremost, I would like to extend my sincere thanks to our esteemed expert, Mr. Ramam Atmakuri, who has taken time out of his busy schedule to share his knowledge and expertise with us. I would also like to mention PMIEF and their continued support in all our project management workshops. I would like to express my heartfelt gratitude to each and every one of the teachers for being here today and for their active participation in the webinar. Your presence has truly made a difference. I would also like to express my deep appreciation to our collaborator for today's webinar, Atal Innovation Mission, Niti Aayog. I would now like to invite Dinu ma'am for her concluding remarks. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Dipanshu. Thank you, Ramam sir. I think I have already given my concluding remarks that, again, it's not just MBA students or engineers who can do project management. You, me, and all of us, along with our students, even as young as class 10 and class 11, are able to do project management. And ATL gives them a lot of projects to do. All of you teachers know that. And once they get to know the science and the art of managing projects, it will really be very, very easy for them to manage that along with their assignments and homework and studies and exams and tests, so that they're able to balance all of that in their lives. Thank you so much, teachers, for joining us. Thank you, Raman sir. And thank you to the TGLJ India team. Thank you to AIM and Niti Aayog for helping us do it. And teachers, we will continue bringing new ideas, new concepts and learning to you all as we go through the year. Thank you. Enjoy your weekend. Bye-bye, everyone. Take care.